Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Italeri 1/35 scale M47 patent Battle of the Bulge build, part number 3. So, I left off last time on step 3. Now it's time to move on to step 4. So the first part I need is the engine, or power pack as it's called sometimes, since the engine and transmission are all linked together in one big old spiffy piece. So I'll get this cut off of here. And then I need also let's see, I also need these two pieces here, 49 and 50C. I'll get those in a minute. So since this thing's going to be totally enclosed, not going to be an awful lot of cleanup involved. So let's see, so we got this, and it fits like that, snug as a bug in rug, and that looks really good. It's almost a shame to close it up. So I'll just get it glued in here real quick like. Excuse the stuffy sounding business going on, but seasonal allergies have kicked in, and my medication hasn't kicked in. Medication, you say? Yes. But my medication is natural. I do honey, allergy blend honey. Works really good if you remember to take it, which I didn't. Okay, so there's the engine. So I'm going to cut these two parts off. I'm also going to cut off the machine gun and the mounting parts, which are 46, 47, and 48. So I'll cut those off real quick. Alright, so the only part I need to clean up on this machine gun really is the barrel, because that's the only part that's going to be exposed. So I'll get the seam line there. Make sure that's smoothed out on the barrel and the jacket. And on the top, and then what I also want to do is I want to hollow out the tip of the barrel. Now, sometimes I use a drill bit. In this case, this is pretty small, so I'm going to use the tip of my knife. That's the way I used to do it back in the old days, and I'll hollow it out that way. Okay, so the machine gun's ready to go. I need to clean up these parts here. Again, they're on the inside, so I don't have to really get crazy with it. This one I do because it's on the outside, but it's just that little deal there. Then I cut off 49 and 50, so I'll get those cleaned up. Okay, so let's see. Let's do the machine gun first. And it goes through like that. And best thing to do is turn it the right direction. Had it upside down. Okay, so let's throw some cement on there. place really good. Then we'll poke. Just like that. All right. So then these parts here, cutter, get this off. Get that little ejector pin mark sanded out. I'm not even sure it's visible, but just in case, get my coarse, my medium sanding stick. Okay, then making sure that this is facing the inside like it shows on the instructions there. Oh man, it's one of those days. Make sure it's 90 degree to the fender. Put a little bit more cement on there just to make sure. Then I'll clean this one up and glue it on. All right, and that finishes step 4. That was easy. So that's all done. Those fit on there really, really square, so that's kind of nice. All right, so next part, step 5, and it's showing to put the tracks on, but I'm not going to do that yet because I haven't put the running gear on it or anything. So I think first I'll start with the other toolboxes. No, actually I'm not. I'm gonna start working on the back plate here first. So that looks like 52C. Which is this here. C. Let me clean that up and then we'll cut some other parts off. Now it looks like there are a couple of these little sprue gate things going on. That's on a flat surface, so that's easy to take care of, as is that one. All right, and then we'll get these off here. Try not to cut it too flat because I don't want a flat spot on it. And then sand it. Okay, now this is the top side, and there's some seam lines there, so those are going to have to be handled. So I'm going to use a knife for that to get most of it. That one's pretty deep. It's pretty good, and I'll finish it off with a sander. Sanding stick. Alright, so that all looks pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do first, that needs a little bit more. There we go. Alright, so I'm supposed to glue the top onto the bottom. Supposed to glue the back on, so let's do a quick test fit here and see how it looks. So that fits there and there, so it fits together pretty good there. Let's see how this this back plate fits. Whoops. But let's put it on the right side up. How about that? Let's see, okay, that. Let's do it this way. Let's put this on here. Make sure. Oh. Okay, I'll have to see the way I'm going to approach this. Front fit's really nice. Got a little divot there that I'll have to fill in with some sprue goo or something. But this is going to have to pop in between those little strap looking deals there. Like that. Oh, there we go. Oh, parfait. Almost. There it is. Man, fits like a glove. Very nice. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that into place. I'm going to start with the bottom and get that. I'm going to hold this in place for a minute and then I'll come back. All right, and then glue the top here, and I'm going to glue that right here where it comes in contact there. And there. Man, that fits together really good. No gaps, no weirdness, no nothing. So there's that. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. See what parts I want to do next. All right, so I need parts 53 and 54C. I need 2 each of those. So let us find them. They're the same on both sides of the vehicle, so I don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. So I just gotta find them. Alright, here they are, 53 and 54. So let me cut those off. That one's gonna need some cleanup. It's pretty grubby looking. And then these here. Alright, that'll get me started. That first. Lifting eyes of some kind. Alright, I've got the parts ready to go here, but before I do that, I need to finish gluing this hole together. I almost forgot. So I need to glue this front seam here, and then glue this underneath here. So I'm going to start with the front seam. I'm going to get just a little tiny gap going on there, and throw down some cement in it. Like that, and like that. Alright, squeeze that together and hold it for a minute while it dries. Alright, so now I'll put some cement right here where the fenders come in contact with the lower hull. Get that all put into place like that. Hold that for a minute. Alright, the top and the bottom are now glued together, and I'll have to look at some references to see how much, if this is like a sharp edge or a rounded edge or whatever. But in the meantime, I need to put these tail lights in, and I'm using a toothpick / cocktail stick to put that in, because it's quite tricky and quite a tight fit to get it where it goes, just like that. So that's in place. It should be in the right orientation, so I'm going to glue it from the back. Like that, and then let it set up for a second. And then hopefully get that. Yeah, there we go. And it's twisted, so I need to turn it around into the right orientation. I don't know how I did that. I thought I looked. There we go. All right, so that one's good. So, whoops, just to show again. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be clever here, and I'm going to mark this. Like this, so I can get the orientation right. Like that. All right, so there's that, and we'll that is a really snug fit. This one's a tricky part to get in place. Because you got to get that thing lined up just right. And the part that it goes into flexes a little bit, so it's kind of it wants to bend that part. So let's see, let's get all right. I'm gonna monkey around with this off camera. All right, so let's glue these lifting eyes into place. So that one I've got cleaned up, and all I'm doing is just making sure that the outside edge, the mold seam line, is gone. And oddly enough, for such small parts, there's not much of a mold seam line going on. which tells you a little bit about the molding, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot. So if you don't like that kind of talk, then I'm sorry. And then I'm going to scrape. Let's see, I'm going to make sure that this is cleaned off where it was attached to the sprue, and make sure this is really, really flat. Then get my cement ready, and then I get that, and then I'm going to put a little bit on there just to tack it in place. And this flies in the face of what I said earlier about gluing stuff on, but for some things I like to tack it into place like that, and I don't like to use a big old glob of glue. And once it's in place, then I do this so it'll fit on there real nicely. I'm going to do the other one here. Like that. And these do angle out just a little bit, so make sure you do so. The slot where these parts go are kind of at an angle, so just make sure you put it in there flat and you'll get the angle you need. So I got that in there like that, and push it, and there we go. All right, so we've got those parts. So now I need to do part 55, 56, and 57C, which is the phone. So we got 56, 55, and 55 I really don't need to do because it's going to be on the inside. But it's kind of a cool option. I mean, that's one more of those things that would be nice for a diorama type thing. You could have the communication, the little telephone there for talking to the tank commander, for the infantry dudes to talk to the tank commander. So we gotta cut this. This right here is the handle that closes the phone box. So let's see, the phone. And if you hear any squawking in the background, that's my lovely granddaughter. All right, so that's in there. See, it's kind of cool because the radio, or the intercom device, is, the telephone is detailed pretty nicely. And then let's see, let's put that there. Like that. A little bit of cement there and there. And then whoops, take the handle and carefully put some there. Like that. Put a little dab of cement on there. Just like that. Alright, so that pretty much takes care of all the parts for the back plate. So the next part will be to put the toolboxes and the other muffler. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that other muffler off and get that put together so it can dry good, so I can sand the edges. And one thing I like to do as I get close to being done with parts, get rid of all this extra sprue, chuck it in the trash. That gives me more room. So I'll just put that up there and start cleaning these up. Okay. Clip that off. That and that. Keeping in mind that I'm going to be sanding this after I put it together. Do a quick test fit here. Make sure. Okay, so we got something going on here. Bit of flash. That should be good. Whoops. Got a little bit of flash going on right there. Just kind of a raised edge. That's preventing that from sitting totally flush. Sorry about snotty nose, guys. Again, I apologize. I'm going to try trimming this off just a little bit. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's better. Had to trim that pin off just a little bit. This one doesn't line up quite as good as the other one, but again, there's going to be a lot of sanding going on, so that'll take care of it. So, let's go ahead and start putting some cement on here. Being careful to not get any gluey fingerprints on it. Whoa, that was a bit much. All right, and then clippity those things together. I'll let that dry. And then cut off the toolboxes. So we need toolbox 60B and 61B, which will be on here. So and for those of you that find this shadow that I've got going on here from time to time disturbing, it's disturbing me too, and I'm working on getting that fixed. I gotta figure out my lighting here. Alright, I got the toolboxes on, and I'm gonna do most of that off camera since I've already done that, but I am gonna show you a trick that I like to use sometimes. It makes things a little easier when you're dealing with small parts. So let's say, for instance, you've got these little handles here, and you want to cut them off really good. So what I like to do is cut off a bit of this like this. Just makes it a little easier to handle for cutting them off nice and close. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm cutting those off like that, being careful not to lose any of them. And then I can hold it and get on here real easily, real tight, and get a nice clean cut like that. It also helps sometimes with painting parts. If you're painting something like, say, tools or anything like that that you're painting, before you glue them to the kit, if you like to paint your tools like separately or anything like that, that's a good way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do those handles. I'll go ahead, since I did them on the other side, I don't need to show them again. I'll put on these long handles as well, and then we'll move on to the stuff in the front. Oh, let's see. Next we need 62, 63, and 64 to go on the front of the hull. So those are 62. Okay, now these are different lengths, so I got to make sure 62 goes on the starboard side if it was a ship, or the other side, and then this one goes on the port side if it was a ship. Okay, so we'll just get these lifting hooks smoothed out. Yeah, they're different. They're different lengths because, so if you got them mixed up, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't be hard to figure out which one's which. Shorter one goes on this because it's humped up. That's flat, so it's down further, set in deeper from the fenders there. So it'd be easy to keep from getting them mixed up. All right. Yeah, those fit on there pretty good. So I can put them in place and then put cement on it. Now, if you want it to be really cool, and I've done it before, but I'm not doing it with this one, you could use an epoxy type stuff or something similar. Make some nice weld seams or weld marks. And just make sure it's vertical, and then do this one. If this one's sanded down, smoothed out. Again, this is one of those places where, and I'm sure I'll find some stuff like that I haven't really cleaned it up as well as I should, so the weathering will make it really stand out, but it happens. And if you get really good with your files or your sanding sticks and you're doing stuff like this, you can give yourself a manicure at the same time. So that's something I'm striving for, so I can be really cool. Kind of multitasking kind of thing, I guess you'd call it. Them thumbnails looking all glammy. All right, so there's that one. So let's put this in place, see if it's gonna cooperate. Sure enough, Barlow. So let's get that that all glued on there like that. Again, making sure that it's vertical. And seated in there properly. Alright, so there's those. So now I need 2 parts of 64B, which are here. That's 84. I don't want that. I want 64, which kind of looks similar. Those are 84. Oh, that's interesting. So let me do a little studying here and see what I can see. Alright, that's interesting. So in looking at this, those are the incorrect numbers. That should be, it's 84 on here and 64 on the instructions. So that's kind of, that's a new one. So I'll get these cut off, cleaned up a bit. That one and that one. That's kind of a dragon trick right there. Wrong number on the part. Okay. Now this is the contact point here, so I want to make that real flat, so it settles down really good on the onto the hull. Get the seam line off of there. All right. So that fits there. Now if you do this right, get that in there good, then that raised portion will kind of mimic the welds. So it fits in there really good. So what I'm going to fill that little channel there with cement, the cement, and then put it in place. And then really press it into place there and just make sure it's straight. And now it's good. So I'll go ahead and do that one. And there you have it. So with that, we have completed steps 4 and 5. So without making this too long, we'll call it quits here. And that is the end of part number 3 of the Italeri 1/35 scale M47. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching it so far. Stay tuned. We'll have some more up in the next few days, I think, because this project seems to be moving right along. And thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, put them in the contents or the comment section below. As always, I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So thanks again for watching, and as always, I will see you all next time.